discuss a couple books that I just read, and I thought this was an appropriate place. First of all is a book by Daniel Quinn, Ishmael, that I kind of read concurrently with Julian Jaynes' Origin of Consciousness. And there were a few parallels. The takers and the leavers in Ishmael kind of corresponds to the bicameral versus the conscious of Origin of Consciousness. I've read Origin of Consciousness quite a few times, but this time I took notes, and I thought I'd try to synopsize as well as I could. First of all, I went through and recorded some of my past notes that I'd put in the margin, and so I'm going to kind of just randomly skip over those first. Page 285, The Great I Am, it is love that is teaching mankind to introspect. It's a discourse on poetry as description of the transition to consciousness. And 269, McLuhan's Eye for an Ear. Nous, the coming of consciousness, can in a certain vague sense be construed as a shift from an auditory mind to a visual mind. Observation of difference may be the origin of the analog space of consciousness. Thoughts, opinions, and delusions are subjective phenomena inside a person because there is no room for them in the real objective world. The two hemispheres can function so as to seem like two independent persons, which in the bicameral period were the individual and his God. He identifies four phases in the from bicameral to conscious. Phase 1 is the objective. This is where the bicameral person is not subjective. There is no internal eye. There is no deceit. There's no need for morality because honesty and objectivity are the normal day-to-day style of this person. This is the bicameral, the objective. The phase 2 is internal, where he starts realizing some of these hypostases, which I'll get into here in a minute. And phase 3 is the subjective, which is fully conscious as we know it today. And then phase 4 is synthetic, which in this book he doesn't really get into it. But at the time of his death, Jaynes' death, he was writing another book, and it never did get published. But some of these preconscious hypostases, which are simply internal signals, the most common was the thumos, which is a generalized mass of internal sensations in response to environmental stimuli or stress. It's the space in which information, sights, advice, or mischief can be put, held, or kept. And then there's the phrenes, which is your lungs, your respiration, which is highly responsive to environmental stimuli. I mean, you can simply see this in your own daily life, where you gasp at something surprising, or you exhale quickly, or simply laughter is a good example. It's where secrets are held. It's like a cupboard where advice can be laid up. And this is the hypostases where beginnings of morality occur. The phrase, breathe easier, comes from this hypostasis. And the kradie, which is where our word cardiac comes from, most profound thoughts and cherished beliefs held in, love held in, sense organ for anxiety, metaphor more of a person than a container. It can be gracious or vexed. Warnings of destruction are felt in the heart, the pounding heart. Then there's the etor, which are your guts, your intestines. This is responsive to a wide repertoire of human situations and emotions. What does your gut tell you? That's where this idea comes from. And the nous, which is sight, shift to sight versus auditory, equals consciousness. This is the nous is actually a coming in together, a melding of the thumos and other functions like, as we'll see later, psyche, which is psyche came from breath, or it's actually a more generalized term than breath. It goes beyond that a bit. It's more like life, the life of a person. The breath of life is where we got this idea. Noema, which is an idea, a Greek word for thoughts, wishes, intents. Love is teaching mankind to introspect, which is what I was referring to before. And senoid is another word that was not very much used, but it's a Latinized word for conscious. Then he gets into our sense of justice depends on our sense of time. Things in sequence. The idea of consequences. If you do this, this will happen. If you don't do this, this other thing will happen. So before our sense of time, we really didn't have this sense of justice. We had retribution, but that was a simple knee-jerk reaction. It wasn't really justice per se. I think I might run out of battery before I'm done reading my notes, but anyway, I'm going to keep trying. Nous, another word modern day word that comes from nous is news. It's Greek for intact or whole. It implies the beginning of personal responsibility, and consciousness and morality are a single development. So you have consciousness and conscience are really very closely related. I mean, they sound alike, and they really are. They developed very, very much along the same timeline. One of his interesting statements that other people a lot of times refer to is, we cannot be conscious of that which we are not conscious of. Like he gives the example, if you shine a flashlight in a dark room, you're never aware of where what the flashlight is not shining on, you're not aware of. And this is similar to what consciousness does in our life. But getting back to the main stream here,